in my season ticket package, which I thought was pretty cool. That's what TFC is playing for, and after last night's victory against FC Edmonton, 1-0 at home, 4-0 on aggregate in the two-game series, Toronto FC has secured its place in the final versus the Vancouver Whitecaps, who dispatched the Montreal Impact last night as well, late out at Empire Field. They're going to be playing TFC in a two-game home and away final series later on this month. A win is a win is a win, isn't it, in a lot of ways? No matter what the circumstances are, it is nice to get the win. It's always a fun night at BMO Field when our beloved Reds can actually get a win. And they got the win last night. And there were some good things, of course, and some things to be concerned about that I'll get to in this relatively brief video blog today. Aaron Winter started, surprisingly, pretty well as close to her starting 11 last night as he probably dared to play. I'm actually kind of shocked that with a 3-0 goal difference coming home in the final match against Edmonton, I thought for sure that we would see the reserve goalkeeper Milos Kosic and also a lot of reserve/academy players filling up the starting 11 last night. That's not what happened. We saw key players like Stephen Fry play, Alan Gordon play, Julian de Guzman play, Tony Chahani play. Pretty well everybody other than João Plata, who's been a sub for the most part, was a starting 11 player last night. And again, after the result in Seattle last weekend, I'm guessing maybe Winter really wanted to give these guys a run out again to see if they could improve their familiarity and comfort level with one another. And maybe it was a punishment because, you know, you sucked it so bad in Seattle, you're going to run out against the Edmonton team, whether you want to or not. I don't know what his rationale was. Maybe he was quite concerned to put his best team on the pitch in a cup tournament. I don't know what the circumstances were, but it was a bit of a surprise. Especially, most of all, quite surprised that Milos Kosic didn't play. God forbid if anything happens to Stephen Fry this season and we need a goalie to step in. The style of play that TFC has actually taken upon itself this year, that vaunted 4-3-3 formation that has been talked about almost to death at this point, requires goalkeepers especially to have a high familiarity with their defensive partners, especially the center backs, because the goalie in this system has a lot more touches of the ball. The goalie has the ball at his feet a lot more. It's responsible for getting the ball out to the fullbacks, or especially the center backs, to start the move towards the offensive side of the pitch. You need to have familiarity and comfort in order to do that effectively and not have it hurt you. And I think an opportunity to give Milos an opportunity to actually get that, to get some of that familiarity was kind of lost last night. Julian de Guzman and Alan Gordon left the field in the second half with injuries last night. As of early Thursday, we still don't know what the extent of those injuries are. Tony Tachani left with a bit of a knock of some kind as well. It didn't look that serious, but again, we don't really know. We'll have to wait and see if this comes back to hurt the club on Saturday versus Houston or not. Whether the Guzman, Gordon, and or Tachani are all going to be match fit after those knocks last night, we're going to see. Now that's, of course, the risk of playing the starters in what was as close, I think, as a slam dunk game as there could be for the Reds. So again, I'm sure Winter had his reasons. Hopefully those reasons and the success that they got in the game outweigh any possibility of hurting some key starting players. So the game was a 1-0 for TFC. A lovely goal by Alan Gordon, fed once again by João Plata, who made this nice nifty little cutback and this lovely looping through ball through to Gordon, who was just onside, who very cool as a cucumber finished the play and gave TFC a 1-0 lead and a 1-0 score. That was TFC's first goal, by the way, since the Columbus game. Eckersley looked lively, as of course did the aforementioned Plata. On the flip side, lively, nice, success, a 1-0 win, whatever you want to call it, I think needs to be tempered with the fact that TFC was playing, with all due respect to them, FC Edmonton, who is an expansion North American Soccer League side, who TFC put to the sword 3-0 last week in Edmonton, and who lost to the Montreal Impact last weekend 5-0. So they were 8 goals against in the last 2 games. They didn't even play their starting 11 last night, knowing that they had next to no chance of winning the tie. The Edmonton coach played his B squad, essentially, and the fact that TFC's best 11 could only beat Edmonton's B squad by 1 goal, I think, should be a little bit concerning to TFC fans. Now, don't get me wrong, I'm happy with the win. As I stated earlier, a win by any other name would smell as sweet, as Shakespeare would say. I'm happy, of course, to be defending this blessed trophy again in the final. I'm happy that Plata and Gordon continue to take steps towards building a nice partnership. I'm quite happy with the clean sheet. Again, by any circumstances, TFC keeping a clean sheet is a good accomplishment, no matter the competition. I'm happy for the morale boost for both players and fans as well. And I think that's one of the intangibles of winning, is the fact that it becomes, in a lot of ways, self-sustaining, that once that ball gets rolling, it keeps rolling. The team wins, the team scores at home, the fans get more lively, more engaged, and more into the games. The players feed off that. The opposing teams get discouraged by that, and it leads to the ball getting sucked into the opponent's net more often than not. Look at Old Trafford, look at Man United, look what they're able to do in their home ground. I know we're not Man United, and we never will be, but I'm just using that as an example. Home field advantage has to be acted upon, and that comes from goals, and that creates that self-sustainment that I'm talking about. And I'm happy, of course, I'm going to leave it at this, to this simple sentence that I got written down here. I'm happy to see a referee have a good game for once. How nice is that? A referee officiating a Toronto FC game not being the story. So well done, officials last night. But all is not rosy, people. I'm concerned, as I think a lot of TFC fans are, with Vinter's choice of players, with a lot of matches on deck. Look at what's up. TFC, as I think got 7 games left over the next 26 days left in the month of May. Essentially, if you work it out between now and the end of the month, there's a game every 3 days. So they've got weekend, midweek, weekend, midweek, weekend, midweek, and so on. In there, of course, are 2 road trips, one to Dallas, and then they've got a 2-game road trip that sees them fly to Vancouver, and then have a tough away game in Colorado against the MLS Cup champions. And, of course, Dallas was the MLS Cup finalist as well. So there are 2 of the better clubs in MLS that TFC is going to be facing on the road. And, of course, they've got that crucial Voyageurs Cup game in there as well, in a stadium that saw TFC lose 4-2 early on in the season. So there are concerns there, especially starting 11 last night that he did, considering that there's a ton of matches coming up between now and then. I'm concerned, of course, that a chance to blood a young backup keeper wasn't taken. I'm concerned that an MLS quality lineup couldn't score more than 1 goal versus essentially an NASL reserve squad. Those are all issues that hopefully TFC can put behind them and start converting, get that self-sustaining sort of home win sort of roll going that they desperately need to, because their home record has been less than stellar, of course, this season. Only the 1 win in MLS, anyways. But I'll take it. 50% of something is better than 100% of nothing, and last night they got something. They are going to be defending this blessed trophy, the Voyageurs Cup, and hopefully, of course, TFC can do that and secure its place once again into the CONCACAF Champions League for the 3rd year running. So that's it. There's only one other piece of news that needs to come out today, and I think it may have already been decided. The way that the Voyageurs Cup tournament is structured for this year is that the finalists, the first seed, which is Toronto FC, the defending champion, gets to choose if it's going to play the first of the 2-game series at home or away. Obviously, the logic would be to play the first game away and the second game at home, and give yourself the chance to, if you get a draw away, to put it away at home. If you're behind, you get a chance to get built up again by your fans. It's just logical to play the second game at home if you have the chance. And the official announcement of that is expected to come at some point on Thursday, and I'll update you on the blog as well. But it looks like I think maybe that decision has already been made. I took a quick look at the TFC schedule that's posted on their website at torontofc.ca, and it looks like they've already posted that the game on the 25th of May is going to be played at BMO Field, of course, to decide the Voyageurs Cup one way or the other. But again, we'll see what the official announcement is today. And speaking of seeing you, I'll see you folks on the blog on Sunday after I post my video response to the TFC Houston game on Saturday. And for those of you in the South stands, I'll be wearing, of course, my bright green jersey, and I always do. I'll see you guys in the stands in the South End on Saturday evening as well. Have a wonderful week, what's left of it, and we'll talk to you soon. Oh, by the way, Sunday is Mother's Day. Make sure that you give Mom a call on Sunday. We'll talk to you soon. Cheers.